The Buffalo Bills wasted no time shaking up their roster. A wave of moves hit the wire, contract decisions rolled in, and Wednesday's injury report delivered a few surprises that caught a lot of people off guard. It's the kind of day where the entire fanbase stops what they're doing just to keep up with the chaos. Before we dive into the latest breaking news, make sure you subscribe, drop a like, and hit that bell icon so you never miss a moment of Bills coverage. Alright, let's get to it. Buffalo finally pulled the trigger on a wide receiver move many fans were begging for. Brandon Beane went out and landed veteran playmaker Brandon Cooks, a name with serious pedigree. He's 32 now, but he's been productive everywhere he's gone, for different teams, for different 1,000-yard seasons, and a long history of elevating offenses when they need a spark. Cooks hit the market after he and the Saints agreed to go their separate ways. He cleared waivers, surveyed his options, and chose Buffalo. That alone says a lot. Now, expectations need to stay realistic. He hasn't hit 30 receiving yards in a game this year, and New Orleans' offense wasn't exactly built to showcase him. Too many mouths to feed, inconsistent quarterback play, and a system that rarely leaned on him as a featured option. Behind Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed, Cooks became an afterthought. But in Buffalo, it's a clean slate. This is a receiver who, as recently as 2023, put up 600-plus yards and scored 8 touchdowns with Dallas. When he's used correctly, he can still punish defenses vertically, stretch coverage, and give Josh Allen the reliable veteran presence this offense desperately needed midway through the season. Buffalo isn't asking him to be the Cooks of old, they're asking him to be the spark this offense has been missing. If Brandon Cooks can even tap into a fraction of what he's shown in past seasons, Buffalo's offense instantly becomes more stable down the stretch. Nobody expects him to walk in and reshape the entire identity of the unit, but he doesn't need to. What the Bills need right now is a veteran who can win routes, create reliable separation, and give Josh Allen one more steady option when defenses tighten the screws. Cooks took the field for the first time on Wednesday, easing into drills and beginning the process of learning the playbook. That adjustment period matters, but he's built for it. His reputation across the league has always been the same: adaptable, professional, and sharp enough to slide into any system without slowing it down. Every stop in his career has ended with him producing in some form. Still, there are realities Buffalo must acknowledge. He's 32. He's dealt with concussions. He's been banged up throughout his career. Those factors don't erase his value, but they're part of the equation when projecting what he'll bring to this roster. This weekend against Pittsburgh, expect a small sample size. A handful of snaps, maybe a controlled route or two designed to get his feet wet. A quick slant, an outbreaking route at the sticks, simple concepts he can win immediately. His route running remains crisp, his hands are reliable, and he's never shied from physical contact. The traits are still there, the Bills just need to deploy them wisely. With Cooks easing in, Buffalo will lean more heavily on the rest of the room. Gabe Davis should see an uptick in targets. Josh Palmer's versatility becomes even more important. Kian Coleman's size and contested catch ability could play a larger role as well. The group needs to function as a unit while Cooks ramps up. To make room for the new arrival, the Bills moved on from Elijah Moore. His time in Buffalo never quite aligned with what the team hoped. Signed late, integrated slowly, and used primarily in limited screen concepts, Moore struggled to carve out a consistent role. Outside of a single deep completion with Josh Allen, he never truly became a fixture in the offense. And that's why this move matters. The Bills aren't just shuffling names, they're tightening their identity. They're choosing players who can help right now, in meaningful ways, as the season enters its most important stretch. Elijah Moore's departure felt inevitable. Talent has never been his issue, but sometimes a player arrives at the wrong moment, in the wrong system, and the fit just never materializes. He's young enough to reboot his career elsewhere, and Buffalo's decision to move on made even more sense once Brandon Cooks entered the building. But the wide receiver storyline didn't stop there. The situation surrounding Kian Coleman has become one of the strangest developments of the Bills' season. Sean McDermott insisted during his midweek press conference that Coleman's second straight healthy scratch, this time in Week 12 against Houston, wasn't disciplinary. According to him, it was simply a byproduct of the short week. That explanation convinced almost no one. Coleman isn't injured, he's not limited, and a short week has never prevented this team from activating players before. Something deeper is happening behind the scenes, and the message is becoming clearer: Coleman's long-term fit in Buffalo is slipping away. Whether it's inconsistency, confidence, or clashes with the coaching staff, the Bills might be approaching a point where they have to explore a trade once the season wraps. But while one door appears to be closing, another familiar one just swung open. Buffalo brought back Shaq Lawson, again. This marks his third stint with the franchise, a move that has almost become a tradition at this point. Drafted 19th overall in 2016, Lawson has never transformed into the dominant pass rusher his draft slot once promised, but he's consistently been a tough, reliable rotational edge presence. The Bills know exactly what they're getting. His path back to Buffalo this time was chaotic. A brief stop in Carolina, a workout with Seattle, another with Indianapolis, and then a not-so-subtle Instagram hint from the man himself when he posted he was back in Western New York. And sure enough, the Bills brought him in and signed him to the practice squad, though realistically, with the state of their defensive front, he won't stay there for long. Injuries have shredded Buffalo's depth. Michael Hoy is on injured reserve. Landon Jackson is on injured reserve. Joey Bosa continues to appear on the report. The rotation is thin, and the Bills need bodies who understand their system and can contribute immediately. Lawson fits that description perfectly. His production over the years tells the story, steady but unspectacular. 2 sacks as a rookie, for the next year, 4 again, and a career-best 6.5 in 2019. His second tour in Buffalo brought 3.5 sacks in 2022, then 1 in 2023. No one's expecting him to revive primetime numbers, but they don't need him to. They need stability, someone who can set the edge, play tough, and survive the grind of late-season football. With the roster shifting almost weekly and the playoff picture tightening, Buffalo is leaning on familiar faces, proven veterans, and anyone who can help them stay afloat in a season filled with twists. The Bills' defensive front has been held together by tape and toughness all season, and it's starting to show. A.J. Epineza has been battling through injuries for weeks. Javon Solomon's most reliable contributions have come on special teams. Greg Rousseau has gone quiet to the point where fans are starting to wonder what's happened to the explosive pass rusher they expected. And Joey Bosa, still wearing that massive club on his hand, is clearly nowhere near full strength. That's exactly why the return of Shaq Lawson matters. He's not arriving as a savior, he's arriving as someone who understands the Bills' defensive philosophy down to its core. Lawson knows the scheme, knows the coaching staff, and knows what this team demands in the trenches. Buffalo has leaned on familiar faces before. Veterans like Jordan Phillips and Jordan Poyer have stepped back in during later stages of their careers and delivered meaningful moments. Lawson has a chance to follow the same blueprint. He won't fix everything, but he can stabilize a unit that desperately needs it. Now, the conversation shifts to something even more pressing: injuries. The latest report offered no comfort. Dalton Kincaid once again did not participate to open Week 13. Another DNP on Wednesday, another setback for a player who hasn't seen the field in nearly a month. Hamstring issues rarely resolve quickly, but this stretch has become concerning. Kincaid isn't just another receiving option. He's the Bills' most dependable separator against man coverage, the one player who consistently wins the middle of the field and creates vertical stress on defenses. Without him, Buffalo loses a matchup weapon that defenses genuinely fear. And with Pittsburgh on deck, featuring T.J. Watt and one of the nastiest defensive fronts in football, his absence looms even larger. Especially if the Bills are forced to play without both starting tackles, a scenario that would put even more pressure on Josh Allen and this passing attack. Availability matters, and early in his career, Kincaid has already missed a worrying amount of time. The bad news didn't stop there. Linebacker Terrell Bernard was labeled week to week with an elbow issue, another blow to a defense already operating on thin margins. When you look at the injuries, the thin depth, and the constant shuffling, it becomes clear, Buffalo is entering the most brutal stretch of its season with, and as if that wasn't unsettling enough, the Bills were hit with another blow. Dion Dawkins appeared on the injury report with concussion symptoms. That left the very real possibility that Buffalo could be forced to start Ryan Van DeMark and Chase Lunt as the bookend tackles against T.J. Watt, Alex Highsmith, and the relentless Pittsburgh front. That matchup speaks for itself, it's as tough as it gets. The list kept growing. Daquan Jones battled illness. Curtis Samuel, seemingly a permanent fixture on the injury report, dealt with both an elbow issue and an illness. Several others were limited: defensive tackle Poona Ford, wide receiver Josh Palmer, and safety Max Harrison, who is working through concussion symptoms but may benefit from the extended time between games. Josh Allen appeared on the report as well, though his situation was nothing more than general soreness, something that comes with the territory this far into the season. He practiced fully and remains on track for Week 13. Across the field, the Steelers are dealing with their own wave of injuries. Their quarterback situation remains unsettled, and several offensive playmakers were sidelined midweek. The most significant loss, however, was at tackle. Broderick Jones, their starting left tackle, will miss Week 13 with a neck injury, a major blow for Pittsburgh's protection scheme and a potential advantage for Buffalo's pass rush. Both teams are limping into this matchup, both rosters are battered, and both coaching staffs are scrambling to adjust on the fly. For the Bills, the challenge is clear: survive the injury storm, rely on depth where it exists, and hope key playmakers can return before this stretch becomes overwhelming. Buffalo's season has reached the part where every snap feels heavier, every loss hurts more, and every injury magnifies the pressure. But this team has fought through adversity before, and they'll need to do it again.